Good evening and welcome to the news roundup for Monday, March 6. I am Abigail Smythe. Heading straight into the newscast, popular disc jockey, music producer, and radio personality Arif Cooper has died. Cooper reportedly collapsed while playing a set at a party in the corporate area early Sunday morning. He was taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. Cooper's father, Michael Ibo Cooper, was the founder of the iconic reggae group Third World. Through his father, Arif got exposed to music legends like Bob Marley and Stevie Wonder from a young age, which eventually led to him joining the music fraternity as a DJ in the early 90s. Over his more than three-decade career, he worked with some of dancehall's biggest names, including Vybz Kartel, Sean Paul, Jacure, Elephant Man, Baby Sham, Idonia, Conscience, Wayne Marshall, and Christopher Martin. He also produced rhythms such as Guardian Angel, New Money, and Happy Step. More guilty verdicts were handed down Monday morning in the Wandon Klansman gang trial in the Home Circuit Court. Alleged commander of the gang, Andre Blackman Bryan, as well as Dylan McLean, Tariq James, and Jazeel Blake, were found guilty on 2 counts of facilitating the commission of an applicable offense by a criminal organization. The men were also convicted of knowingly facilitating arson of a dwelling house. They were accused of the killing of Cedella Walder and Jermaine Bryan in New Nursery Fisheries, St. Catherine, and setting fire to their house on September 9, 2017. Fabian Johnson, Brian Morris, and Michael Whiteley were found not guilty on the same 2 counts. Meanwhile, Andre Bryan has also been found guilty of the killing of a man called Dooley in Price Right, St. Andrew. Scores of placard bearing orange-clad supporters of the People's National Party, PNP, gathered at the Crossroads Post Office Monday morning to protest against what they say is the mismanagement of the country by the Andrew Holness-led administration. PNP President and opposition leader Mark Golding says chief among the issues is the decision by the government to once again postpone the local government elections.
It's quite clear that they have smelt the coffee and know that the people of Jamaica are tired of them. The people of Jamaica want to see a change. They want to see hope and they want to see a better life for themselves and their children and grandchildren. They know that the People's National Party is the party of the people. It is the party that has brought liberation to the people over decades since our formation in 1938. And we are standing up for local government elections and we are standing up for governance in the country at the local level.
Other members of the party who were in attendance, like Angela Brown-Burke and Julian Robinson, also loaned their voices to the protest.
We need a Jamaica where everybody feels nice, not just some people. Yes? We need a Jamaica where the pensioners know that they have a minister who is concerned about the long line in the sun that them stand up in every day to go and collect. We need a Jamaica where the government understand that $11,000 a month for a pensioner don't make no sense. We need a Jamaica where the little money that the families on path get can do a little bit more than just one day something. We need a government that understands that minimum wage needs to mean something to those who get it.
We want a Jamaica where if you're a youngster in high school, you have a future here and you're not looking to migrate. We want a Jamaica if you're a young professional, you can get a good job and you can buy a house and you can settle here. We have to transform this country. We have to transform it so that we have a Jamaica for all. We are here to tell the government that you can't continue to run from the people. You can't continue to hide from the people. Democracy means you people have a right to be heard.
The PNP president says the protest is the first in a series planned to connect with the electorate and to press the government on the ills affecting the society. Residents of Fairy Hill, Portland, staged a protest in the community Monday morning over an ongoing dust nuisance and water shortage in the area. Students and other residents experienced lengthy delays due to the roadblocks. The Ferry Hill residents took to the streets from as early as 6 o'clock to complain that the dust is affecting their health. They say they have not had water in the community for at least a month, and whenever the road is wet, it dries quickly and the dust nuisance returns. The road in the community is being worked on as part of the Southern Coastal Highway project, but it has not yet been paved. A businessman was gunned down along Mac Corner in Palmer's Cross, Clarendon, Sunday night. He has been identified as 40-year-old O'Neill Rooms, also known as D, of Kennedy Lane in Palmer's Cross. According to police reports, around 8 p.m., Rooms was sitting on a wall in front of his shop eating ice cream when he was pounced upon by men on foot armed with handguns. Rooms reportedly ran and was chased by the men who opened gunfire, hitting him in the head and upper body. Police say he died on the spot. Sources say he was murdered in the vicinity of a church crusade. Less than 2 weeks ago, 6 people, including a police officer, were shot and injured at an event in Palmer's Cross. The police say there has been an increase in criminal activities in the Palmer's Cross area, which prompted the imposition of a 48-hour curfew in the community last month. The police say permits to host entertainment events in Palmer's Cross are not being granted up to July 1. Clarendon had seen a 157.1% increase in murders up to February 28, having recorded 18 murders when compared to 7 homicides for the same period last year. A 53-year-old businessman was shot dead and his wife injured during an attack at their restaurant in Grand Spen, St. Andrews, Sunday morning. The deceased has been identified as Peter Green. The two, who also own the commercial complex in which the restaurant is located, were reportedly preparing meals around 8:30 when 2 men rode up on a bike. The pillion rider reportedly alighted, walked to the shop, and opened fire on the couple. People who converged at the scene were overheard saying the businessman was involved in a land dispute elsewhere in the community. They theorized that the shooting may be linked to the dispute. One person asked the question, quote, "You can see a whole community live on land and you want bulldoze them off? Why you gonna get?" End quote. The couple reportedly moved to the house on the disputed property after their home in another section of the community was destroyed by fire. The police have not yet commented on any possible motive. An armed man purporting to be a policeman was chopped several times after he allegedly entered a businessman's home in Canaan, St. James, Sunday morning. The suspect was hospitalized under police guard. Reports are that the man went to the shopkeeper's home around 12:30 a.m., knocked on the door saying he was a police. The homeowner reportedly peeked through a window and saw the man standing at his door with a gun. He recognized his attacker from an argument the two had earlier. The purported cop reportedly started kicking the door, which the homeowner refused to open. Police reports say he allegedly shot the locks, entered the house, and started shooting at the shopkeeper. However, by then, the businessman had already armed himself with a machete, which he used to chop the intruder. The man ran from the house into nearby bushes and later turned up at the hospital. Investigations are ongoing. And a man was murdered on Red Hills Road shortly after 8 o'clock Saturday night. He has been identified as Jermal Taylor from a Park Lane address. It is reported that Taylor was in a wholesale when he was approached by armed men who shot him multiple times. He was rushed to hospital by a resident where he was pronounced dead. A Westmoreland businessman was shot dead at his home in Waterworks in the parish on Saturday. He has been identified as Fitzroy James, otherwise called Sugar. Mr. James was the owner of Sugar Rock Lagoon and Star Castle Guest House. According to reports, Mr. James was at home in his backyard when he was attacked by intruders. The police were summoned after several loud explosions were heard coming from the premises. On their arrival, Mr. James was found lying face down with a gunshot wound to the head. He was pronounced dead at the Savannah Lamar Hospital. 2 brothers were shot and killed in Roehampton, St. James, Friday night. They are 54-year-old laborer Dean Waite, otherwise called Scatter, and 51-year-old shopkeeper Dwight Waite, otherwise called Durami. The 2 were at a bar owned and operated by Dwight around 9:30 when they were attacked. The police were summoned, and on their arrival, the younger brother Dwight was seen on the ground on his back in a pool of blood with what appeared to be gunshot wounds to his head and upper body. The other brother, Dean, was found suffering from a gunshot wound to his abdomen. Citizens rushed him to the Cornwall Regional Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. The police found 4 9mm cartridges on the scene. The St. James Police are investigating. The Greater Portmore Police in St. Catherine are keeping a close watch on the Southborough community after 3 people were shot, one fatally, by gunmen Friday night. The attack occurred along Miranda Path shortly after 7 o'clock. The dead man has been identified as 42-year-old vendor Robert Reed, otherwise called Willie Reds. An ex-policeman and a 3-year-old child were also shot. It is reported that Mr. Reed was sitting at his fruit stall in the community when gunmen opened fire, hitting him. The ex-policeman and his granddaughter, who were nearby, were also struck by bullets. The child was shot in the shoulder while her grandfather was shot in his left thigh and lower back. The 3 were rushed to hospital where Mr. Reed was pronounced dead and the others admitted for treatment. Head of the St. Catherine South Police Division, Senior Superintendent Christopher Phillips, says the police have increased their presence in the area. He says the police have not yet established a motive for the shooting, as the area has been quiet for some time. With the drought conditions currently affecting the island, the Meteorological or Met Service is predicting that there will be very little rainfall over the next 2 months. The National Water Commission, NWC, has already instituted water restrictions. Director of the Met Service, Evan Thompson, says the current dry conditions are expected to continue until the secondary peak period for rainfall in May. In light of the current drought, which is predicted to get worse in the immediate future, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has reiterated the call for Jamaicans to conserve water. He says efforts must be made to reduce water usage. He notes that while the government has a duty to provide resources for municipal corporations and MPs to bring water to their communities, all Jamaicans have a role to play in reducing the effects of the supply challenges. And the government says a project is to get underway within 2 months to construct a 15 million-gallon water treatment plant in the Rio Cobre, which will adequately supply water for Spanish Town, Portmore, and Kingston. Minister with responsibility for water, Matthew Samuda, says ground will be broken for the project in May. He says the investment will provide enough water to prevent lock-offs in the corporate area upon completion. In business news, Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark says the country's nominal debt is set to drop in the new fiscal year. Dr. Clark shared the data while answering questions at the meeting of the Standing Finance Committee last week. He said the total public debt as at February 2023 was $2.161 trillion. This is down from $2.187 trillion, which was the total public debt as at March 2022. In the region, a group of 127 Haitian migrants were caught on the western side of Andros Island in the Bahamas on Sunday. The Royal Bahamas Defense Force says the Cuban Border Patrol alerted it to a Haitian sailing vessel on Friday. The group consisted of 116 men, 9 women, and 2 minors. The Ministry of Labor and Immigration, in a separate statement, said the sloop traveled near Cuban waters and was en route to the U.S. The ministry says it is working to have the migrants repatriated as quickly as possible. The interception comes amid heightened concern in the Bahamas over irregular Haitian migrants. On the international scene, the British government said on Monday that it will introduce legislation to ban anyone who arrives in the UK in small boats across the English Channel from ever settling in the country. The government said a bill, expected to be announced on Tuesday, will bar asylum claims by anyone who reaches Britain by unauthorized means and will compel the government to detain and then deport them to their home country or a safe third country. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said the law would stop the immoral business of smuggling gangs who send desperate people on hazardous journeys across one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. However, critics say the plan is unethical and unworkable since people fleeing war and persecution can't be sent home and is likely to be the latest in a series of unfulfilled immigration pledges by successive UK governments. And finally, in sports news, Liverpool brought Manchester United crashing down to earth in a stunning 7-0 defeat at Anfield on Sunday. Only a week after winning the League Cup, United experienced its heaviest defeat in the Premier League and the club's joint worst loss in all competitions. Cody Gakpo, Darwin Núñez and Mohamed Salah all struck twice, and Roberto Firmino scored the other, with 6 of the goals coming in an explosive second-half performance. Liverpool took advantage of losses for top 4 rivals Newcastle and Tottenham on Saturday to strengthen its own bid to qualify for the Champions League. Salah became the Merseyside club's all-time leading Premier League scorer with 129 goals. And in local football, Fabian Reid scored his first Jamaica Premier League hat-trick of the season to lead Arnett Gardens to a resounding 5-1 win over Malines United in their return round game on Sunday. Arnett Gardens have now extended their perfect run to 6 straight games. Defending champions Harbourview also thrashed Falkland FC 5-1. In the other game, Humble Lion and Montego Bay United played out a 0-0 draw. The win by Arnett also saw them retake the lead in the points table on 36 points. And that's it for your news roundup for today. Please remember to like this video, leave a comment, and share the video with your family and friends. I am Abigail Smythe. Have a good evening and see you next time.
Teach them! Hey, yo, hello! Send the message and make it reach them. It's teach them. Right here, Warlord representing.
Thank you for watching. Like the video before you go. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. And remember to share the video with your friends and family. And browse the channel for more quality content. Until next time, walk good, my friends.
Teach them!